Now it's time to see how to handle lists and list elements and what tools does Python provide for this. We've already seen the len function being used on a list. But what if you want to find out the maximum or minimum value within a list? Well, you have the max and min functions available for that. So let's consider list2 and let's try min of list2 minus 11, which seems about right since it is the only negative value inside the list. Next we have max of list2, which returns 12, again that is correct. Now what about a list of strings? Let's consider list3. In this case, min of list3 returns A, and max of list3 will of course return C. However, if we have a list with various types of elements, say numbers and strings mixed together, like for example list1, how does Python compare a string with an integer and return the maximum value inside the list? Well, in that case, let's try max of list1, and Python returns a type error saying that it cannot compare integers with strings, or in fact, generally speaking, comparison operators are not supported between different data types. This was possible in Python version 2, where the max function would have returned the value Juniper inside the list, considering strings as being greater than integers. However, this has changed in Python 3 and the result is an error. Now let's check the available list methods we have at hand. First, we should learn how to append a new element to the list. It's simple enough, so let's consider list1 again. To append an element to this list, we just use the append method like this, list1 dot append of, let's say, 100. Let's see list1 now. And indeed, element 100 has been appended to the list. Now let's remove an element from the list. We have three options this time. First, we can use the following command, del list1 of, let's say, 4, where 4 is the index of the element we want to remove. In our case, this would be 10.5. Now checking list1 again, we see that this value is no longer a member of list1. Another way to remove an element by its index is using the pop method like this, list1.pop of 0 will remove the first element in the list, right? Now, if we check list1 again, we can spot the absence of Cisco. Okay, the third way is to actually remove an element by specifying the element itself using the remove method. So we have list1.remove of, let's say, Juniper. Let's check list1 and the element is now gone. Okay, great. Now let's see how we can insert an element at a particular index in the list. This is easily accomplished by using the insert method. So we have list1.insert and in between parentheses we have 2 comma and let's say nortel, where 2 is the index of the location where we want to insert the element, the new element, and nortel is the new element itself. Now checking list1 again, we can see that the new element has been inserted at index 2. Another interesting list operation is appending a list to another list. So let's say we have list2. To add the elements of list2 to list1, we can use the extend method. Let's see both lists before that. So we have list1 and list2. And now we can just extend list1 with the content of list2 like this, list1 dot extend of list2, and here's our new list, list1, with the element of both lists unified inside a single list. Now remember the index and count functions from strings. Python makes them available for lists as well. So let's find out the index of an element in our list and how to count the occurrences of an element inside the list. So list1 dot index of -11, let's say, returns the index of the element -11 in the list, and that is 3. Now let's append the value 10, thus having this value twice inside the list. So list1 dot append of 10. Okay, so we have 10 twice inside the list. Now let's use the count method. So list1.count of 10, and indeed we have 2 returned, meaning that the element 10 appears twice inside our list, which is correct. Now let's have a look at ways of sorting the elements inside the list. First, we can use the sort method. So returning to list2, let's add a couple of elements first. So list2 dot append of 1. Let's also add 25 and let's say 500. Let's see list2 again. Okay, now let's say we want to have them sorted in ascending order. We will simply apply the sort method on list2 like this. List2.sort. Okay, now let's see list2. And now we have the elements of list2 sorted in ascending order. Great. What if we want the elements sorted in reverse or descending order? Well, we have the reverse method for this. By the way, as you might have noticed already, the names of these methods are pretty intuitive and straightforward, and that's one of the reasons why Python is such a beginner-friendly programming language. Now back to our list. Let's apply the reverse method and check the results. So list2.reverse. Let's check out list2. Awesome. Just what we were looking to achieve. The two methods you've just seen are modifying the list in place, meaning that after you apply the method, there is no other list created in memory. You have the same list2, only that the elements are displayed in a specific order. To sort the elements of a list and also create a new list in memory at the same time, you have the sorted function available. Let's see it in action. Let's sort the element of list2 in ascending order again, using the sorted function, so sorted of list2. Okay, now if you want to use the same function to reverse the order, just add an argument inside the parentheses. This argument is called reverse, and it must have the value of true assigned to it. The argument is passed to the sorted function right inside its parentheses after the name of our list. So let's try this. Sorted of list2, comma, and now the argument reverse equals true with a capital T. And the result is indeed correct. By the way, you may ask me, where did this reverse equals true argument came from? Well, I knew it because I used it a couple of times before, but if you want to check the syntax or available arguments for a function, you should use the help command inside the Python interpreter, passing the name of the function you want to know more about as an argument. So for example, we have help of sorted, and you can see this argument right here, which is by default equals to false, but if we want to have a list sorted in reverse order or in descending order, we should switch this to true. Two more things worth mentioning here. You can concatenate or repeat a list as you did with strings using the plus and multiplication operators. So let's say we have list1 plus list2, and this unifies the two lists. And also, for example, list2 times 3 multiplies the elements of list2 3 times. Also, notice here that duplicate elements are allowed, so don't worry about that. Next, we are going to discuss list slicing.